Hey, what's going on today, guys? It's Trey. Welcome back to the channel. As always, welcome back to sunny, beautiful Germany. So recently I got on Facebook, and let's just call this group Americans in Germany. That's not the actual name, but let's just give it that name. And so in that group, I decided to get on there and I asked the people in the group what they liked about Germany, what they appreciated about Germany. And I got a ton of different answers. So I want to take the time and go over a lot of those answers, and I want to share them with you guys because it's pretty interesting to hear the American perspective of living here in Germany. And so you guys are probably wondering, like, Trey, why are you making this video? Well, let's be honest. There's a lot of people right now in the United States that are looking to leave there for a bevy of reasons. And so Germany is one of the most desirable locations for Americans to relocate. And I think this video will really aid in a lot of Americans' decision to move to Germany. So without further ado, stay tuned. Let's get into it. All right, so this was a huge post on Facebook. I got probably like 200 different responses, and people are still responding to this day. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read over some that I've chosen randomly. I didn't like go through and cherry pick responses. These are just random ones that I'm looking at on the post. So of course, the way the Facebook algorithm works, the very first response that pops up is actually mine. So one of my favorite things about living in Germany is I love the fact that people here understand and respect lane designations when driving on the Autobahn, unlike I-95 in Miami. Quick story, we used to live in Hawaii, right? Beautiful place, beautiful people, amazing food, some of the best beaches. I miss it so much. But let's be honest, driving in Hawaii is awful. Like, it's worse than Los Angeles, it's worse than Paris. And the reason why it's so bad is not because of traffic or anything like that, but sadly, people are just on island time, if that makes sense. So let me explain to you what island time means. So island time basically means that people are moving at a much slower pace, right? Nobody's in a rush. It's Hawaii, it's relaxing, it's laid back. You know, people are just mellow there. And sadly, when it comes to the driving, a lot of people take that same approach. For example, let's just say you're driving on H1 in Hawaii, which is an interstate system. People just don't understand, like, fast lane, slow lane, merge lane, you know, none of that exists in Hawaii. So there's just this chaotic situation going on in Hawaii where there's mainland drivers, mainland being the mainland United States, and then there's drivers that were actually born and raised in Hawaii, all converging into one place, and it just creates complete and total chaos. People don't know how to drive, there are tons of accidents, and let's just face it, people in Hawaii cannot drive to save themselves. Germany, on the other hand, I remember we first landed here in Stuttgart, and we immediately got onto the Autobahn. And because I had been living in Hawaii so long, and you gotta remember, I'm from Florida, right? You know, another place where nobody knows how to drive, but people drive fast in Florida. So I'm getting on the Autobahn after just moving from Hawaii, and people are flying. I got the accelerator literally floored, and people are still flying by me. But I will say that people here in Germany understand and respect lane designations. I just love that so much. It just makes driving so much easier. And let's be honest, a lot of that has to do with the fact that getting your driver's license here in Germany is not an easy task. You know, you have to spend several hours in driving school to get your driver's license. It costs a lot of money to get your driver's license. And so the people that invest the time and energy into getting their driver's license, they take driving very seriously, and all the time that they've spent studying, they use that in their daily lives. And so it just makes driving nationwide here in Germany really, really amazing. I love fresh pretzels and all the travel opportunities. We have been able to visit some places that were never on my radar before living here, and they have been some of my favorite trips. Now, I love this response because Americans, sadly, like, sure, you can find great bread in the United States, but the bread is on a whole nother level here in Germany. And so I thought that her mentioning pretzels was pretty cool. But the travel opportunities is a really good one because, for example, we go to this city by the name of Esslingen all the time. I never even heard of Esslingen before we moved here to Germany, and it is one of the most beautiful towns that I have ever seen in my life. And this lady is so right. The travel opportunities are endless here in Germany. And especially for us that live right here in Stuttgart, we literally have France, maybe like an hour away. We literally have Switzerland, you know, an hour and a half away. We've got Austria not too far away. We've got Munich, we've got Frankfurt, we've got Ulm. We've got so many different like amazing cities just in this one little area alone. Travel opportunities are endless here in Germany. As we get ready to PCS, now PCS, for some of you civilians that don't know, it's US military terminology for basically leaving the station that you're at and moving to a different place. So for example, moving from Stuttgart to, you know, Japan, moving from Honolulu to Virginia in the United States, that's PCSing. So just wanted to explain that real quick. But as we get ready to PCS, I am already missing the quality of produce that is readily available here. Also love how walkable and hiker/biker friendly Germany is. Walk out the door in most places and you're on a trail of some sort and in nature. Now, this one is literally like my life, right? Because we live in Feigen, which is a really nice neighborhood here in Stuttgart. And literally probably like a minute from my front door, I can get to some of the best trails in Baden-Württemberg. So, you know, this lady is right. The amount of trails in nature are truly endless in Germany. Now, in a lot of places, right, it's not like that, right? But for the most part, there's a lot of great outdoor activities here in Germany. And when you live in the south of Germany, nature is all around you. You're literally surrounded. I mean, the Black Forest is only like a 30-minute drive. We're technically in the Black Forest. I love the wellness opportunities here, like mineral baths and sauna gardens. So this is a really awesome one. Now, I'm not really too big into the wellness options here in Germany. I need to because like I've had back surgery recently, my knees are shot, I run every day. So I should probably be taking advantage of these wellness opportunities, but I don't. My wife, on the other hand, takes advantage of them all the time. You know, she's been to the mineral baths, she's gotten massages done, the mud baths, the Turkish baths. She's done so many different, you know, wellness activities here in Germany. And there are so many, and this is really like a European thing. It's not specific to Germany. But since we are here in such a diverse place like Stuttgart, there's so many different wellness activities here. My wife just last week got a Thai massage done. I can walk right down the street to a bathhouse, a Turkish bathhouse at that, and you know, go through like an hour, 2-hour session of one of the best massages that you can find here in Europe. And so this lady is right. The wellness opportunities here in Germany are outstanding. I also love how the people around here care about others around them and work together in so many ways. A prime example being they zipper in when lanes are merging rather than acting like they deserve more road than someone else. It's a very German thing, guys. You know, I rarely see road rage here. You know, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people just pride themselves on safety. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably like, well, Trey, like what about the Autobahn? People drive 300+ kilometers per hour on the Autobahn. How can you say that the Germans care so much about safety when they're literally driving like their hair is on fire? Well, let's be honest. The statistics have shown that Germany is one of the safest places to drive. It is. And a lot of that has to do with, like I said earlier, people have invested so much time and energy into making sure that they know how to drive the safe way, the right way, and the German way. Now, coming from where I come from, South Florida, for example, right? We see road rage every day. And it's even gotten to the fact where a lot of people's lives have been affected. You know, they get beat up, right? I've seen people get baseball batted. I've seen guns get pulled, knives get pulled, people physically yanked out of their vehicles in South Florida. And this isn't just a South Florida thing, right? This happens in Los Angeles, this happens in Chicago, this happens in New York City, this happens in Houston, Atlanta, all around the United States, right? It's sadly kind of what the United States is starting to get known for, violence. And so here in Germany, you really won't see any of that, right? Even in the larger cities like Berlin or Hamburg or Munich, you won't really see that at all. A lot of it has to do with the fact that people are relying on public transit, but you do gotta remember, still a lot of people rely on their vehicles to get to work, to get to school, you know, to pick their kids up. People drive here in Germany, but they do it the right way and they do it the smart way. I love the diverse educational opportunities available for our children, the German kindergarten format, and the heavy emphasis on outdoor time and play for children no matter the weather. And the outdoor pools, amazing quality for such a cheap price. For a lot of you guys that don't know, my wife and I do have a son. His name is Golden. He just turned 2 earlier this month, and time is just flying, right? So we're at the point where we have him on wait lists to get into Kita and to Kindy, whichever comes first at this point, who knows? But yes, the educational opportunities here in Germany are incredible. And to piggyback off of what she said, you know, they really do schooling so differently than they do in the United States. I'd probably say like the closest educational opportunity to the German system that you would find in the United States would be something at like a Montessori school, for example, where they teach kids, you know, how to clean, how to do laundry, you know, how to do basic things in life. Like that's probably the closest thing. But here in Germany, they take it to the next level, right? They teach the kids how to swim. They teach them how to hike. You know, they teach them how to look both ways when walking down the street. They just teach them real life skills that they'll utilize, right? You know, they're not just having the kids, you know, stare at some TV screen or stare at books. And not to say that those things aren't important, right? But the Germans take things a huge step forward. And I love and appreciate that. I'm so excited for my son to grow up here because, you know, I see the impact that it has on society as a whole. And I love what Germany is doing from an educational standpoint. Now, I really love this one. I love there are fruit and vegetable seasons, Spargel, plum, etc. It makes the food more special when I can't get it all year. This guy is really living like his best life here in Germany, and he's so right. There's just something that's really special when a certain time of the year rolls around. For example, right now it's Spargel season. Spargel is a white asparagus. I never had it up until like a couple of weeks ago, and I love it, right? But let's say if it were like September or August, I couldn't get Spargel during that time of year because it's not available. And I'm sure you could find it in some places, but it's not gonna be as good as it is right now. And so it's really nice to live in a place where there are literally allocated times of the year for specific things. And it's just, I've never lived in a place like that, right? Because in Hawaii, for example, if I want pineapple, I can get pineapple year round, right? Or if I go to my home in Florida and I want oranges, I can get oranges year round. And even when there's a deep freeze, for example, I can still rely on the freshness and the goodness of the Florida produce. So yeah, I never really thought of it that way, but this guy is so right. It is really, really refreshing to live in a place where stuff just isn't readily available. It does make it feel a lot more special. I love that you can walk to grocery stores and bakeries, that you don't have to drive very far to hike in some of the most beautiful places in the world, that you feel safe here to walk everywhere. Public transport is fantastic. I could go on and on. Really, there's not a lot not to love. Yes, oh my gosh, I can't say this enough. So we've got like a Netto, a Kaufland, an Edeka, a Rewe, an Aldi, all within walking distance of our house. And it just feels so nice to not have to worry about, you know, grabbing the keys to go drive the car somewhere. It's just, you know, it feels really nice to just, you know, even on like a rainy day, for example, it's just really nice to be able to take our son Golden to the store and explore the neighborhood and like, you know, maybe stop at a playground or pick some flowers, pick some fresh fruit. It's nice to do that when walking to the grocery store or just walking to the neighborhood bakery. Man, it is so nice, man. A lot of this stuff is really making me, you know, re-appreciate Germany, because I already love this place, but man, when they mention the bakeries and the grocery stores, oh my gosh, it is so nice. It really is so nice. In the States, for example, especially since they don't really take pedestrianism too seriously, you typically have to take your car to go to the grocery store. American car culture is just so ingrained within American society that I don't really see a point in our future when people in America aren't gonna rely on their vehicles, because really, if you don't have a vehicle, it is so hard to navigate life in the United States. And granted, there are some cities like Chicago, New York, LA, you know, even Miami, where there is great public transportation. It is still not as simple as it is here in Europe, and Germany is just crushing it in so many ways when it comes to transportation and public transportation. It's just nice to be able to walk everywhere and have a sidewalk. A lot of places in the States don't even have sidewalks, right? There's this YouTube video out, I was watching it the other day. It was talking about how Houston is literally like the poster child for like America's outlawing of pedestrianism, right? You know, one of the largest cities in the world, geographically speaking, but a horrible place to live if you're a pedestrian, if you're a person that likes to ride your bike. You cannot do it in Houston, Texas, for example. And there are hundreds of other American cities that have followed that same model that Houston, Texas has. And if you don't have a car, man, you are screwed. But here in Germany, on the other hand, you don't need a car. We have 2 vehicles. Man, we're really thinking about just dropping it down to 1. We would like to have one to be able to take road trips because we do like driving to other countries. But honestly, if we didn't need it for the road trips, we could really get by with just having no car at all. Having recently PCS stateside, we miss everything. The castles, the hiking, the food, great beer, bike paths, Black Forest, waterfalls, walk to train stations, and easy access to all of Europe, the beautiful weather, fantastic quality of life. Okay, that's enough. Now I'm sad. Enjoy every second of it. It goes by in a flash. Can't wait to get back. This guy really hit the nail on the head, right? And I think a lot of Germans sort of take, you know, Germany for granted, right? Because most people have, you know, lived here their whole lives. They've been raised here. Germany is really all they know for the most part, right? But I think this guy brings up some great points, right? Because like he said, you know, he misses this place. You know, he's back in the States, right? But he misses this place. And look at the things that he listed, right? The castles, the hiking, the food, the great beer, bike paths. You know, it's different, right? A lot of those things can be found in the United States, but it just feels different to be able to do a lot of those things here in Germany, right? You know, one thing my wife and I like to say is, you know, since we're from South Florida, if you want to go and get a beer somewhere, let's just say South Beach, for example, right? A Corona in South Beach will run you $20+ for a Corona. I can go over to a local brewery here in Stuttgart and have a beer that costs maybe like €3, €4, right? That's like this big, right? It's huge, right? And I can get some good food. I can have some good conversation. I can hear some good music. And if I don't want the music, if I just want like a relaxing vibe, you know, I can go to a brewery in the woods, right? I can go to a restaurant in the woods and just be out in nature, drinking a beer, eating food, spending time with my family, right? And man, there's not too many places in the world where you can do that. And I thought that I would be losing a lot by leaving Hawaii, but man, we have gained so much when it comes to the outdoors, the quality of life, by just living here in Germany. I love that I feel safe being by myself, in my home, hiking in the forest, traveling, going to events, shopping, living life. This one is probably the most important. This is probably the most important thing that has been said, right? Because if you don't feel safe, if you're not safe, you really can't live comfortably, let's be honest. And so for a lot of Americans, and I think a lot of the world can attest to this, the United States has become a very dangerous place. But you know, it has, and not just because of guns. It's just sadly become a breeding ground for violence. It just feels good to be able to go out and not have to worry about that, right? You know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, at a point in my life, I used to own weapons, and there were some places that I lived where I wouldn't feel comfortable not having a weapon with me, right? And that's just that American mindset, right? Like, you gotta protect what's yours. And I gotta say, it's really nice to not have to do that here in Germany. Like, I don't have to be like, oh man, do I have this? Do I have that? Like, no, I can just go out and live life. It's really, really refreshing to be able to live in a place where you can just live. You don't have to worry about anybody trying to take advantage of you. And now I know some people are gonna be like, well, Trey, like, you know, crime happens in Germany. Yes, it does. Nobody's denying that crimes take place. But I'm telling you right now, when you look at the statistics in comparison to the United States, the crime statistics are a lot lower here in Germany. And I'm talking about per capita as well. Obviously, the United States is a larger country, but still, there are far less crimes that take place here in Germany, far less violent crimes that take place here in Germany than they do in the United States. So, you know, and I know for women, it's very different. It's gotta feel really refreshing to not be in a vulnerable state, right? This lady said traveling, right? She doesn't have to worry about somebody taking advantage of her while she's traveling, or on a hike, or on a run, or, you know, just spending time in nature. You don't have to worry about that. Big, that one is big. That one is huge, guys. German windows. Now, this one is pretty funny, man. But I gotta say, she is right. The German windows are, man, I've never experienced anything like them, right? So there's two aspects to German windows that this lady is referring to. So the first one that she's talking about are like the blind system. So German blinds, I've never seen anything like it, right? They don't exist in the United States. I've seen it in the Czech Republic. I think I've seen it in Switzerland. I've seen it in the Netherlands, but I know for a fact that they originate here from Germany because our landlord talked about them when we first got here, because they're different. They're not your traditional type of windows. And so it's just nice, man. Like it could be like 10 a.m. at your house and on a sunny day. And if those blinds are closed, it seems like it's like 1 a.m, right? It's crazy how dark it could make your house. And for a lot of people, that helps. The second aspect that she's talking about is the actual mechanism to open the window and close the window. In the United States, for example, the windows, it's kind of cut and dry, right? It's like open and close. But here in Germany, it's different, right? It's like they open out, they open in, they like lean back, they lean out. I've never seen anything like it. It's like one of the most interesting engineering marvels that I've ever seen. Now look, I'm not an engineering major, right? So I don't know like the specifics. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't even know the name of the window specifically, but man, the German windows are super underrated. The bread's pretty amazing, guys. Now I'm trying to put together a video here in the future actually eating all of the different types of bread found at a German bakery. So if you guys could please let me know in the comment section what bread I must try in that video, please let me know. But this lady is 100% correct. The bread is awesome. Farmers markets in almost every town. This person is right. There are literally farmers markets in every single town that we've been in. And in fact, when we go to the Black Forest, we always make it like our mission to stop in one of the small towns, to stop either at like a roadside stand, or we also like stopping at the little markets because you find some really great homemade products and goods there. But yeah, this person's correct. There are literally markets in every town. Doesn't matter the size. Church bells. I love hearing the church bells. Yeah, I'll tell you what, we live in Feiningen. I hear the church bells pretty much every day. And on my run, since I actually run through Feiningen, I hear those church bells pretty much every day. And yeah, just something about it feels very nice. It's like being in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know how to explain that or articulate that any further, but I don't know, something about the church bells. It does feel really nice. Ooh, this one's a good one. The walkability of the area without public stigma. Also nice not to worry. I am sending my kids to their deaths daily when I put them on the bus. Now, I think we can all put 2 and 2 together and understand what she means by that. Sadly, one of the worst plagues that the United States is experiencing at the moment and has experienced since I would say like the early 90s and even the late 80s is school shootings, right? And we're at the point where we see school shootings every week, it seems like. College, university, pre-K, kindergarten, private school, it just doesn't matter. We see the school shootings continuing to happen. And before I was a parent, I was terrified, right? I was terrified for the youth. I was really, really scared for the parents. And now that I'm a parent myself, I feel even worse because you just never know in the United States, right? You never know what somebody's dealing with. You never know, you try to be as involved as you can be as a parent. It's just scary to know that one day, some kid, some adult, some teacher, you never know. Some person could be having an extremely bad day and take it out on your kids or take it out on a school. And this lady's 100% correct. You just don't experience that here in Germany. You really don't experience that here in Europe. You don't experience it in Asia. You don't experience it in South America. You just really, when it comes to the westernized world, the #1 leading place for school shootings in unsafe settings is the United States of America. And so, you know, this worried mom is correct. She doesn't have to worry about sending her kids to, you know, their potential death, you know, by going to school. So that was a really, really important one to mention. The feeling of safety 100% of the time. We already talked about the safety aspect, but as you can see, a lot of people love the fact that it is just so safe to live here. Bread, wine, pretzels, beer, windows, rolladins, flowers, markets, daily and seasonal hikes, walks, green space, fests, easy travel, community, church bells, Sunday as a rest day, and slower pace of life, just to name a few. This lady is, obviously she loves Germany, you can tell. But yeah, she just hit the nail right on the head. There's just so much to love about Germany. Fruit stands with all the trust. See the photo. In the Black Forest, we see this everywhere. And in fact, I didn't even think that this type of system existed anywhere outside of Hawaii, because the only place in the United States that I have seen this specific system is Hawaii. And not even on Oahu, for example. Really only on like the Big Island, Kauai, Maui, like some of the less populated islands. This is where I see sort of this honor system work. Now, when we got to Germany, I remember I started seeing them everywhere. And especially in the Black Forest specifically, it's like you drive every few kilometers there and you see these little stands where you pull off. They have a money jar, you know, they have fruits, they have vegetables, they have pumpkins, they have, you know, jars of honey, jars of jam, pastries, and you know, it's an honor system, right? So you grab whatever you want, you pay the person, and you leave. There's no cameras, there's no security system there, there's no guy standing out with his shotgun to make sure that people pay. It's just trust. It's genuine trust that people have here in Germany. Really not gonna be able to find that in too many places around the world, but it works here. We have found that Germans have been so kind to our kids. When we were at Fasching, a lady literally yelled at a guy more than once for standing in front of our kids. And she told us, well, tried, she didn't speak any English, went to prepare to grab candy, held the kids' hands, and when they got a little separated from us, her and her husband made our entire experience. Our neighbors have also been absolutely wonderful and have made us feel so welcome. I must say, everywhere that my wife and I have lived, and even before, you know, I started dating my wife and married my wife, I've had the fortune of having some amazing neighbors. With that being said, I have to admit that the best neighbors I've ever had in my life have been right here in Germany. And where we live specifically, the neighbors are just so nice, man. It's like, it's so weird to me that like your neighbors are nice, because like coming from the States and like, you know, I'm from South Florida, my wife is from Chicago, and our neighbors are great, but it's just, they're still not as nice. You know, people aren't as nice as they are here in Germany. And this lady is so correct when she mentioned the fact that strangers, right, will treat you like family. They will treat you like friends. And this is coming from Stuttgart, right? I think for the most part, a lot of people can agree that Stuttgart, you know, the Schwäbisch, they could be a little rough around the edges, right? But still, even here, the people are so nice. And so imagine places like Berlin or our neighbors over in Bavaria, right? Well, they will literally just invite you into their home. That's just the German way, in my opinion. And I'm sure your experience might be different, but we've experienced nothing but kindness and openness since we've been here. I think there's this stigma in the United States that Europeans can be cold and unfriendly and rude, and it's not true. And I think out of everything that people have told me before we moved here, it's all been debunked, right? The rudeness, food not being good, the weather just being terrible year round. It's not true, man. And I think people need to get out more, right? They need to step out of their comfort zone more, open up their minds, speak to people, talk to people, eat food, you know, go to a bar late at night that you've never even heard of, speak to locals. You know, the more people do that, as human beings, I think the smaller the world will seem, and the safer and the better this world will seem. The quality of the food is so much better here. Significantly more chemicals are banned here than in the US. I love that every restaurant has a different personality here. I really don't even need to chime in on this because I think for a lot of people that know the United States and know Germany, the food quality is so much better here in Germany and Europe and in this part of the world. That's an irrefutable fact. I think a lot of introverts would appreciate this one. I love most things about day-to-day life here. Lots of you already mentioned my top faves: hiking, bread, wine, and lunch. But I just love that I don't have to be smiley and chatty all the time. For the first time in my life, I don't feel externally focused all the time when I'm outside my home. It's so relaxing. Does that make sense? This makes a whole lot of sense. Another group that I'm in is the Disneyland Paris group. So this American, I'm actually gonna make a full video on this situation that happened, but this American lady got in there and she was like, Disneyland Paris was horrible. The workers were so mean. Nobody said hi. Nobody sprinkled pixie dust on us. And like, you know, just being your typical American. And so a lot of Europeans and also a lot of Americans that have been to Disneyland Paris, they had to chime in and check this lady and tell her like, hey, that fake Americanized nonsense that you've experienced at Disneyland and, you know, the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, you're not gonna get that in every part of the world because that's not real. So what you got in Paris, what you got at Disneyland Paris, that was the realness, right? And those people were still nice. They just weren't kissing your ass like you've been used to. That doesn't mean that a place is worse because they're not bowing down to your every whim. That just means that this place is genuine. They don't feel a need to doctor up fakeness, right? They want to provide a genuine experience. And so for me, we're Disneyland Paris pass holders. We love Disneyland Paris, right? And I'm a Floridian, so I've grown up going to Disney World my whole life. I don't think that any place is better than the other or worse than the other. They're equally great, right? For different reasons. And so, you know, this lady hits the nail on the head when she said she doesn't feel like she needs to like basically put on like a facade when she's out in public. She can just relax, man. You can just let your shoulders down. You can relax. You can, you know, I like to use this reference, you know, just loosen up your butthole a little bit when you're out, you know? Europe is a place where you can do that. It's just nice to be in a place where you don't have to walk around with a stick up your butt all day. Now, this guy makes some great points, but I'm only gonna hit on his first point. So his first point was, besides all that's already been hit on, the lack of a bajillion billboards ruining the sights during road trips, although there's often construction, it results in beautiful roads the vast majority of time. Now, this one is very important because, you know, as a lot of you know, the United States, it's like a billboard haven. And luckily for us, when we lived in Hawaii, billboards are actually banned in the state of Hawaii, and for good reason. Nobody wants to be staring at a billboard when you got Cocoa Head over here, you got Waikiki Beach, you got volcanoes, you got all these different things that make Hawaii beautiful. Nobody wants to be staring at billboards the entire time. And you know, I just love that about Europe. And granted, there's some countries here that allow billboards, but I don't have to worry about seeing them in my face during road trips or while I'm driving. Hopefully it's a marketing method that just comes to an end sooner or later. But this guy's right. It's nice to just be able to see everything while driving, to see nature, to see historical monuments. It's just nice to be able to focus on the more important things. This one's pretty funny. Oh wow, I love that when I drive 8 hours, I'm in a totally different country instead of still being in Texas. But for real, the beauty and diversity of people is incredible. I also feel very safe here and my dog loves it too. Now, this guy's right. It takes us 6 hours to get from here to Paris. It takes us 2.5 hours to get to Zurich. It takes us 6.5 hours to get to Vienna, Austria. It takes about 5.5 hours to get to Prague. It is so nice to live in a place that is so centralized here in Europe where you can literally go in whatever direction you want. You got Italy, you got Croatia, you've got Denmark, which we're going to next week. You've got the Netherlands, you've got the UK, you've got Spain. You've got so many different countries to choose from. It is so nice. Now this guy's thinking outside of the box. I love the speed cameras. So much quicker and more efficient to get flashed than to spend an hour being pulled over by the cops. Man, as somebody that has had his fair share of experiences with the police, that sounds bad. As somebody that has unfortunately been pulled over a lot by the police, I can appreciate this one. And I do have to admit, sadly, I have actually gotten a speeding ticket here in Germany. Even though I thought I was doing the correct speed limit, it turns out that after 12 o'clock at night in a specific area of Stuttgart, the speed limit drops by 10. So I didn't know that, I didn't see the sign, but I have got a ticket here in Germany. I did get flashed, I did get it in the mail, but yes, it's just so much more efficient, right? I don't have to smell a cop's stinking breath, you know, I don't have to get my car searched, I don't have to worry about any of that. Just take my picture, send it in the mail, pay, good to go. Don't have to worry about your rights getting violated at all. Now, like I said, you know, there's about 200 plus responses, and the responses are still coming in as we speak, but we are gonna just do one final one. I actually think this one's really funny, especially coming from Hawaii, but all of the above plus no potholes. Now, I have seen a couple of potholes here in Germany. They usually get fixed within like 2 or 3 weeks, which is really nice, unlike Hawaii, where the place is so beautiful, but gosh, there are just so many freaking potholes everywhere. And if you drive a nicer vehicle, your car is just gonna get damaged from the roads. The roads in Hawaii are awful. They are abysmal. And, you know, for such a beautiful place, you know, it just comes down to the fact that they just don't allocate the funds correctly there. I'm not saying that they allocate the funds correctly here in Germany because I don't know the ins and outs of Germany like that, but I can say that the roads are nice. So clearly they're using the funds, you know, where they should be used, right? They're not stuffing too many pockets here that I can see on the surface. Yeah, so as you can see, guys, Americans really do love this place for the most part. You didn't really hear any negatives at all. And honestly, I didn't really see too many negatives in there. I think the only negative that I saw in it, I think the guy might have deleted it, was he said that he didn't appreciate the fact that stores close early, right? And so a lot of the United States, there's 24-hour operations. You know, a lot of the fast food restaurants, they're 24 hours. Some stores are 24 hours, like Walmart. The reason why you don't find a lot of that here in Germany is because they actually value people's time, right? They value the workforce here in Germany for the most part, right? I can't speak for every industry, right? Because some industries do work around the clock. But from a retail standpoint, man, you won't really find too many places that are open late. Not even some gas stations don't stay open that late. And so, yeah, that's like really the only negative thing that I saw. So I know that was a longer video, but some really good quality responses came out of that Facebook post that I made. It really helped sort of reconfirm why we are here. And, you know, some of the things that I appreciated: the safety, the food, the people, the culture, the weather, the reasons why Germany is great. You know, the list can go on for forever, let's be honest. But I did appreciate a lot of those responses, and I hope you guys did too. So if you guys did appreciate this video, please give it a huge thumbs up, as it helps the channel in a number of ways. If you have any questions for me personally, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And as always, I am gonna leave my Instagram in the description below. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me there. You guys send me all different types of great questions. And while I don't get back to you guys immediately, because typically I'm being a dad, or I'm working, or, you know, I'm out traveling, or I'm working out like a madman, I'll get back to you in a timely manner. You have my word. If you guys have any ideas for future videos that you would like to see made, also feel free to message me that. And also feel free to leave those ideas in the comments section below. I love you guys, I miss you guys. We're headed to Denmark tomorrow, and then Sweden later on this weekend. We are so excited for this trip, guys. Like 2 of our bucket list places. We are super excited. Stay tuned for that content. I love you guys, I miss you guys. And as always, thank you. Mahalo for watching. Pew.